doing today? Yes, the EAFP podcast is up and going, guys. We're using the StreamYard app for sure. And trust me, guys, when I tell you it is a good thing to have, it's another good thing to have for sure to add to our program to make the EAFP podcast great. Not only just the EAFP podcast, but also the JCA Sports program as a whole, guys. If you guys want to join in, I'll drop in the link. I gotta find the way how to drop in the link, but I'll make sure I drop in the link for not this show, obviously the next show for sure. A lot to talk to, a lot to get into. Especially today, the round of 16 second matchups as well is up and gone. A lot of interesting matchups this week. There was only one team that won, and that was today's Chelsea 2-0 victory win over Lille. All the other games had a tie, whether if it was 2-2 between Ajax Benfica, the 1-1 between Manchester United and Atletico Madrid, which was the other tasty matchup in the round of 16, but also the Juventus and Villarreal matchup too as well, which actually has some bad news to go along with the U.S. men's national team too as well. There's good news and bad news on top of that. But let's get to it. Let's get started with the EAFP podcast here, guys. If you comment on Facebook, we are live on Facebook live too as well, along with our YouTube page, and also we're on Twitch. Make sure we'll put in the links there. For you guys to join us in every which way possible. Make sure you guys comment on the section here, as I'm gonna be reading them online too as well, guys. It wasn't as exciting. I think most of these games weren't as exciting outside of the Ajax Benfica game, which was like more wide open than anything. You were gonna get what you were gonna get between United and Madrid. But even then, outside of that, guys, it was what you expected, minus one game. I think the Juventus Villarreal game kind of, I guess the tactical reasons why, and probably even again the away goal rule being taken away was kind of the reason why it wasn't as exciting, or it could have been as exciting as could have been. I mean, Vladic came in and he was a new signing for Juventus for this winter break, and he came up with a bang, scoring a goal literally, I think 30 seconds into the game too as well. But Juventus couldn't find that rhythm to go back on that part. And to be honest with you, I think Juve missed the opportunity. They had plenty of opportunities too as well to put this game away. They just couldn't find the back of the net last night with them putting another one after scoring one goal, especially in the first minute or so. But you know what I can say is that it's not the same Juve team from years prior, that's for sure. And they just couldn't find a rhythm. This is where the bad news comes in, guys, is that Weston McKennie goes down with a injury, and it is actually a foot fracture too as well. To go on top of that, he's gone for 8 weeks. I think that's the minimum that they got. 8 weeks he's going to be gone, and that's bad news because he's going to miss that clash next month against La Selección Mexicana in the qualifying matchups too as well. So I just want to know what everybody thinks about that. The injury to Weston McKennie, big blow for the United States men's national team. What are they going to do? Who is going to be replacing? I know we're going to talk about that in our next future podcast too as well. But Juventus couldn't find the opportunity to put one in the bag. Villarreal fought through. That's what you're going to get from an Unai Emery team, at least the Spanish Unai Emery team, that you're going to get them to play hard 100% throughout the game. And their goal came as scrappy as it could have been. And they got the 1-1 tie, though. Other game yesterday between Chelsea and Lille. I think this is like the one other game that was probably like an easier matchup for one of the big teams too as well. Chelsea game Lille. It was kind of a soft matchup, and it was shown yesterday. You know who was the better team, who dominated from front to back. Christian Pulisic scored, which is a good goal, and he started. I think he played close to 90 minutes, if not the whole entire game, if I'm not mistaken. He got his goal. He got the second one to secure the game, but pure dominance through and through between Chelsea and Lille. They're the reason why they were the reigning champs, and they're firing now on cylinders. But that's to be not mistaken though. Chelsea probably played, I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, they played a false nine, and you could tell like they're missing that striker. No Lukaku, Timo Werner. I think he came in too as well in the second half as a sub. But even through then, Chelsea has struggled. A game like against Leo in the European Championship in the first round of 16. You could get away with that. Talent wine is proven. The talent is there on the Chelsea side, and Leo, although they fought hard, they did the best they could. You could tell they were just a step beyond, a step under. So, kudos Chelsea, the only team that won this week in this week of round of 16 matchups in the Champions League, guys. What do you guys think about the Champions League so far? Comment on this section right here on Facebook, as this is the EAFP podcast. The EAFP podcast here on Facebook Live. We're also live on YouTube and Twitch too as well. Make sure you follow the JCA Sports Podcast, as I am live every Wednesday at 6. Don't forget, 6 o'clock, all right? Mark that, put that on your calendar somewhere. We're going to be live. I will find a way to put the comment section so you guys could join me here too as well. For next episodes or future episodes too as well. So we can all get, a nice little conversation going. Today's matchup, I think there was the one enticing one, but in a way it wasn't that exciting simply because of how poorly these two teams have been playing in recent weeks, and especially since the turn of the calendar year. Between Atletico Madrid and Manchester United, yes, on paper it looks tasty and it looks really, really great. I want to know what you guys think. If you guys watching them, it took Manchester United almost close to the end of the game to score the tying goal at 1-1, but Atletico Madrid scored early, and obviously I think that's all they needed to do, to be honest with me. But to be honest with you guys, is Joao Felix scoring the opening goal, I think in the 7th minute. And honestly, like, that was the best thing. At 80th minute, Anthony Elangan scored the 80th on the equalizer. But if there was a perfect start for a Cholo Simeone team, was the goal, was scoring in the 7th minute, because then Cholo could have done his own thing. He could have done the old not bootleg, but his old Atletico Madrid ways of just defending, hard defending. They got their goal. Well, let's play, let's defend. And it was a breakdown in their defense that ended up the equalizing for Manchester United. Let's be honest. Was this an exciting game? No. Was it pure? Was it an Atletico Madrid game? Yes. But also at the same time, you could tell two teams that are struggling right now at the moment, that can't find form and are struggling just in and out of their other teams, even in their domestic games. It's a game to where, you how should I put this in good words, right? Instead of swearing up here. But it was a game where, two teams can just say, like, hey guys, like, we suck right now at the moment, but we're in this competition and this is the best way we could play. And it's proven. Cholo doesn't have any authenticity behind his game plan, and that's never been his style. He's always had a striker that will probably do the dirty work, but he had Antoine Griezmann on the bench. He had Luis Suarez on the bench. I think his mindset was to control the midfield back and not have Manchester United with Bruno Fernandes, with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Paul Pogba, and big names like that to control the game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Marcus Rashford even had a game running game too as well. So it was a plan by Cholo Simeone for him to have in this game. Let me get a quick goal, which he did with Joao Felix, and let me just do what I do best, which he hasn't have done this year so far. Not only as reigning champions for La Liga, but even in the European competition, because he struggled in the group stages too as well. So yes, this game was not top what we thought we expected to be, but these two teams were coming in horribly into this game. Manchester United are not having a good Premier League campaign too as well, being 7th in the league, and Atletico Madrid have just been falling. They have been falling in La Liga. So we had two teams, you would expect two teams in bad form would probably have an open game at least. You would think that, right? This game would have probably been as open. I think if Manchester United would have scored first instead of Atletico Madrid, I think the whole dynamic of the game would have been different. Given that, so we did it, and we got the ugly, boring, scrappy, defending Cholo Simeone game for Manchester United, and it just thought like that. There we go. As I go to the comments right here, Jonathan Plyo, another 1/3 of the JCA Sports Podcast, saying right here, Captain America, the GOAT. Yes, as he scored the goal yesterday between Chelsea 2-0. He says, "Why do you think Paul Buck fell off so hard?" He says, "Honestly, Man U have no identity. They're almost as bad as Mexico," with the laughing emoji. And I don't think the thing about Paul Pogba is like I felt they don't utilize him to his full potential, and he has a team around him, right? When you have Bruno Fernandes, when you have um, I don't know why am I forgetting on the other person who he had. Obviously, McTominay is the guy, the other midfielder they have, but I think him on the left side is basically his go-to. In France, you see him have a free roll on the left side because he knows he has N'Golo Kante behind him. That's like a brick wall that he could do whatever he wants going forward, and he really doesn't have to necessarily track back defending for France. As while in Manchester United, you kind of see a different Paul Pogba who isn't free because one, he has Bruno Fernandes who plays that free role in Manchester United, so he kind of has to be stagnant in his role in the midfield. With an occasionally when he has the ball, he goes up because if you give Paul Pogba the space, he will create that space for you and for other teammates too as well, and put the ball literally on a platter on a dime, needle through. But I think that's the reason why Paul Pogba hasn't really worked out in Manchester United ever since he came back to Man U a couple of years back. I think that's been his issue with Paul Pogba, that he just hasn't been himself because if you put him in a free role, I think you'll probably have a better opportunity for it to expand his playing style on a club team. That's what happened with Juventus. In Juventus, he was a little bit more free with them simply because Juventus had Andrea Pirlo in the midfield and just bossing that midfield from left to right and all around. And you kind of had the other players that fit around them. I think they had Arturo Vidal at that time too as well, who was kind of like your dirty, you do the dirty work type of thing. Andrea Pirlo is more like your tactical guy. You go left, you go right, give him the ball, he'll dish out ball left and right. And when Pogba had the ball, he could have just been as free as possible because he would have been everywhere, even though he had played one position. He's never done that in Manchester United. That's why he is looking as bad. He has looked as bad as Manchester United than he does when he's with France and when he did once he was Juventus. The identity crisis, that's a whole nother thing. I think that's a coach problem. You see what's going on with Manchester United. They have an interim coach. They couldn't find a coach. I think they had if any of my Ted Lasso fans out there, they were saying that Chris Armas, a former U.S. national player, saying that he's following almost close to tactics as Ted Lasso in his show. So if you watch that show, you know what I'm talking about, and it's kind of bad. But even then, uh, even then, it's just that's been the issue with Man U, and it's been the issue with Man U for years. Even with Ole Gunnar, um, they had no identity. I think it was just always. I think there was a video of Cristiano Ronaldo in one game where he was just doing this all over the place, like he had no tactics, and I think that's the thing. They literally couldn't find a manager since Fergie left. And yeah, you could say, okay, well, Mourinho came in and they won the Europa League and stuff like that. Okay, I'll give you credit for that. But I think, but a team like Manchester United winning the Europa League isn't really that. It's not all that great. Let's just be honest. Were they in a rut? Yeah, of course, because David Moyes came in and they almost put that team down to the ground. Mourinho came to save the day in the position that they were. He got what he got done. But then after that, after the real test came out in the Premier League and in the Champions League, it was a shell of himself. Oli came in and he did a fantastic job stepping in for Mourinho that year. That actually got him the job as the actual head coach or the actual team manager. But it worked for a time or two, and then yet it just failed. It didn't work, and now they're in this rut again. This has just been the circle of being a manager for Manchester United ever since Fergie left. It's been a revolving door. And a team like that, as much as I hate them, let's be completely honest here, that it's a team with history, especially in Europe and especially in England, that a team like that, like Man U, granted, fans like myself love it that they're in turmoil like this, right? But in football aspects and European aspects, and especially in the Premier League, like you need kind of Manchester United to thrive in these type of situations, because it brings in fans. It brings in fans like it's supposed to be. So, with eventual time, we'll see. I hope they keep it up though. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lie. I hope they do keep it up. That way, it's a free spot for Arsenal, who have a game tomorrow. Go Gunners, who have a game tomorrow against Wolves. And they have to fight for that top four. That's for sure. And that's for sure. The EAFP podcast here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on Twitch. I believe that. I mean, that's what I see. What I got right here, guys. So I feel like I'm live on these 3 channels. We are now using StreamYard here as our platform for all of us. I will find the way to get the links on here so you guys can join me to have a talk, to have a soccer conversation. Should be great. It should be fun to have. We're glad to have this new platform for all of us to join in, not only for my fans and my podcast, but also for Sports Strip Live, for all UFC combat sports, and also the podcast that you see me on, JCA Sports Podcast too, as well. John on here too, as well, the other third of the JCA Sports Podcast. So yes, we're using a new platform. I will drop up the link in future podcasts so we could talk about it and get some guests on, so we could chat football for about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. That's the range I really want to go. It's 6:00 on every Wednesday. So stay tuned, guys. The other game that I want to watch, it's been actually the most entertaining game so far in the last in the round of 16, is the Ajax versus Benfica one. Now, I'm pretty upset at myself because I have a group chat with the with the JCA Sports Podcast, and over the weekend, my boy Jonathan Pelayo said, "Hey, what are the soccer bets for the week?" Now, I told him over 2.5 goals for the City versus Tottenham game. That one hit. I did, I think 6.5 corner kicks over for PSG. That one hit. And I put 1.5 goals for Real Madrid on Sunday. That one hit. And a potential winning, if you put $20, that was a potential winning of $197. And he didn't do it because he was in Indiana. And I was like, damn, I should have done it, right? And today I was thinking, what bet should I make, right? So I was thinking over 3 goals. It was over 2.5 goals for Liverpool. Atletico Madrid to score in the first half, and Ajax and Benfica to go over 2.5 goals. $20 would have won me close to $247. I think that's what it was. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. And I've been upset with myself. These last 2 bets could have hit. And between us 3, between the JCA Sports Group, I am not the one that has success gambling. I will admit that. So I'm a little bit more hesitant on my bets. But in the last 2 bets, the last 2 ones, yeah, man, I really messed up big time on that one. So maybe if I say my bets out and not bet, they'll probably work, and I'll just agree with something to my fans out there. Hey, just give me like 5% or something, maybe, depending how big it is. And John goes, scared money don't make money. I'm like, yeah, you're right on that part. So we'll see how that goes for sure for this week. But yeah, the Ajax Benfica game, I think it's the most entertaining game so far, the round of 16 in the Champions League, as they were tied 2-2 in a very open matchup, even in the very beginning. Ajax coming in and scoring the first goal of the matchup. And Benfica came back and scored 2 off an own goal off of Lair, who made up, making it 2-2. And the second goal, I have a problem with the second goal because it was a wonderful shot. And the keeper, instead of pushing it out, he kind of pushed it up. That landed right in the middle. And at the same time, the attacker for Benfica, I forget his name, I skipped his name, came in and just hit her in and scored the goal. Now, that's cardinal sin for a goalie. You don't do that. But it was an entertaining matchup even before the goals, and even after the goal. The tying goal was great. I mean, it was a good game overall. I think the best game so far of the Champions League round of 16. That's for sure. And that game too is what I think. I would have put my money on Ajax simply because I do enjoy the way how Ajax plays. And like I said, if matchups prevail, I think they are the dark horse of this competition. And they have been in the last couple of years too as well. A couple of years ago, going into the semifinal, losing that game against Tottenham to qualify for the final in the second leg. I think Tottenham ended up coming back. But even then, so like that, to me, like Ajax is a team that grabs this wonderful young crop of talent through their system. They do it the right way. They put their players in at the right time. They let their players play. They're I mean, granted, okay, they play in the Holland League. Okay, it's not top notch, but they still dominate with the young players. They have a nice crop of veteran players with young players, and yet they do it the right way. And here they are year in and year out, and just competing in the Champions League and advancing out of the group stage, even winning their group stages, um, uh, dominating around the 16, also going to even making it to the quarters and semifinals. Like this team does it the right way every single time, and like it's a team that a lot of people sleep on, but they shouldn't. And I do believe so myself. Like this team is the dark horse to make it to the semifinal if the matchup prevails. Now, if next round they play against Manchester City, I'm like, okay, cool. This is a perfect opportunity for them to step up to see, okay, where do we fit against the best of the best? Honestly, if they stay away from the Man Cities and the Bayern Munichs, you give them Chelsea, you give them Atletico Madrid, Manchester United, you give them Liverpool. You give them Liverpool, you give them maybe Liverpool not so much, but you give anybody else in this round that's been Juventus, Villarreal, whoever, they will hold their own. Outside of those three teams, Liverpool, Man City, and Bayern, they will hold their own. But I'm not. They will also give them a great matchup too as well, because this team is tactically sound. Tactically sound. They have a clinical striker up top with Aller. They got a decent midfield holding off with Edson Alvarez and Tadic too as well, who scored the first goal. Beautiful too as well. He got it off a bounce. And defensively, they're sound, even with the goalkeeper Nana too as well in the back. It's a team that just is just they're just, if they were a bigger name with more money, but they're not that type of club, even though they get money for their players. Like they just do it the right way. And this team has been doing it for the last 15 to 20 years. Like Ajax, there's players that come through that system. Ibra, Suarez, just to name a few that everybody knows, you know what I mean? Even right now, the dude that plays in Chelsea, I forget his name, but he's in there too as well. Like it just I don't know. I have admiration for this team. I shouldn't, but because of, I mean, there's nothing wrong with rooting for other teams, but this team does it right. And I think they are their dark horses to make it to the semifinal and probably even make some noise even then. They will give, I mean, outside of Bayern and City, I think they'll give Liverpool a hard time. Outside of them too, I mean, they'll hold their own to a certain degree. But when you have a clinical striker like Allaire and everybody and the team playing how they play, I think this team is set up to make a dark run and to make a run into the final. I mean, I'm not saying Ajax finals probability, but it's a possibility. So keep an eye on that team for sure. Even though today they didn't look as complete and as solid in the back as they were, giving up those 2 goals, but this team is still good, and they scored 2 goals on the road. If the away rule was still up there, look, all the teams that are on the road this week, they all have a fighting chance to qualify for the next round, because they all got the away goal rule. They all got now that's not, it's just a complete, it's just a complete wash. It's just another tie. All right, guys. So this week we to round off, I'm about to finish off the game. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, Jonathan for commenting on here too as well, and thank you guys for watching. I'll be here every Wednesday at 6:00. Let's talk about soccer, Champions League, games of the week too as well for over the weekend, which I'm about to get into right now. So don't forget, every Wednesday, 6:00 on StreamYard, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. And like I said, I'll find the link to put on here so we guys can have a one-on-one conversation with myself for future shows. So my Gunners play tomorrow against Wolves. If you guys want to make a little money on that, I don't like to bet my teams, but Wolves have a sour taste in their mouth from what happened a couple weeks ago at Wolves. I think this game is going to be a little bit more enticing than what you guys think. I think if you want to bet over on the game at 1.5 goals, I would say go right ahead, because I think both teams will score tomorrow. The last time they met up, it was a 2-1 victory, Arsenal over Wolves. So keep that going. I think that'll be a good matchup. If you want to get a little more, if you say the 2-1, then go 2 over 2.5. Go be it. Other than that, the games of the weekend, not as enticing. I mean, if you want to see Tottenham, who lost today against Burnley 1-0 against Leeds, that one, and then Leeds just fell off today. I mean, they've played against a juggernaut, 6-0 against Liverpool today. So if you want to go City Everton, I think that's not. I mean, it is what it is. Chelsea Leicester will be a good one, although Leicester has fell off a little bit over the last couple months. But those are the matchups for the week over in La Liga. Nothing too exciting for this weekend. Again, Celta de Vigo versus Atletico Madrid. What kind of Atletico Madrid is going to show up after the performance today against Manchester United? Celta Vigo always gives you a tough battle. I think if you want to put it under 2 goals, I think that'll be a safe bet too as well. Barcelona plays against Athletic Club Bilbao. Now it's always a good matchup, and especially that this game is on the Camp Nou. I think Barcelona having their game tomorrow against Napoli, which was a good matchup last week too as well. Barcelona barely scrapping up a tie. We'll see what kind of Barcelona will show up on Sunday. On Sunday here and on the Liga. I mean, other than that, to talk about the Europa League, I mean, the Europa League was actually pretty enticing last weekend. Let's see if they keeps it up too as well. A lot of ties, a lot of good matchups too as well. Like I said, it was the Barcelona versus Napoli game, which I was like, okay, at first I was like, I wasn't too excited. And then I watched the game and it was open. It was as open as it can be. And I think that was a good matchup too as well for all of them. For all to watch. So keep your eye on that too as well. And then we'll see where that. This is the EAFP podcast here. Myself, Eric Avila. Make sure you guys watch the JCA Sports Podcast tonight at 8:00, as we're going to have Tony Anaya from I forgot the blog. We're going to talk about baseball too as well. Just keep a lookout for that too as well, as the JCA Sports Podcast will be on at 8:00. As for the EAFP podcast, take a look out. I'm going to have this show recorded on here for future if you guys want to listen to it. I'm on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, all of that, and plus many, many more. Links will be on here provided for future references. As for myself, the EAFP podcast is over. End time. I'll see you guys later at 8. As for the podcast, see you next week at 6, guys. See you later.